This is the Moto Z2 Force, the latest phone to join the Moto Z family, and the first to arrive this year with some flagship-class hardware. And this is the Moto 360 camera. It's not the first Moto Mod camera we've ever seen, but it is the first with dual front and rear-facing cameras for full 360-degree panoramic coverage. I'm Stephen Shank with PhoneArena. I'll be reviewing both these devices real soon, but for now, let's get started with an unboxing. Here we have the new Moto Z2 Force as well as the Moto 360 camera accessory. Let's get started with the phone here because this is a bit of an odd handset. If you're familiar with last year's Moto Z and Moto Z Force, this new one sort of falls between the two in terms of how it's built. So last year we had the Moto Z was a very thin, kind of lower battery capacity option, whereas the Moto Z Force was a thicker phone but with a much larger battery as a result. Instead, this year we don't have a Z2 by itself, but the Z2 Force falls in thickness between the two phones last year, as well as in battery capacity, although there it's a bit closer to the Z, which we'll talk about more in a moment. Let's get into the box now. I'll talk more about hardware as we start looking at the phone itself. Packaging is super reminiscent of the Z2 Play, same design language we're seeing across all the new Moto Z phones this year. This is a little different inside. Hello Moto, hey, how you doing? And the phone itself here. So going over a few of the key specs here. Shatter Shield, of course, is a 5.5-inch Quad HD AMOLED display, but the Shatter Shield means you can drop this thing, it's going to be impact resistant. That said though, it is not it's not super scratch resistant. I've already seen a lot of hands-on with this phone that show it succumbing to scratches relatively easily. And the people we talked to at Motorola's launch event also told us you might want to add like a tempered glass protector on here. The tempered glass protector might crack if you drop it, but the screen itself underneath will be undamaged, so it's a lot cheaper to replace than the phone. Dual 12 megapixel cameras, another big change this year. So last year we had a higher megapixel camera on here with things like optical stabilization. We lose that this year, but instead we get dual sensors. And oh man, that aluminum, that brushed back there, looks really nice. I hope you can see that on video really well. It's taking my fingerprints really easily, but you know, good comes with the bad. Two 12 megapixel sensors on there. One is full color, one is black and white. Personally, I prefer maybe if we're dealing with a telephoto and a wide angle lens, you know, different focal lengths, but black and white and color can be pretty neat, especially if you have some nice photographic effects to go along with them, and the software does support that, so that should be promising. But let's peel this off and start booting this up. Now already I can tell this feels really, really thin. So last year, I believe the Moto Z was around a little over 5 millimeters thick, 5.1, 5.2, and the Z Force, hey Moto, was up closer to 7. This year, it's just north of 6. And actually, I have the, this is the Z2 Play you see here. So this is actually slightly thinner than the Z Force, but those look really, really similar. It's also slightly heavier because this does have a larger battery. Let's go ahead and start setting this guy up real quick. Okay, we've got our initial Android setup taken care of. This interface looks just like we saw on the Z2 Play, although now quite a bit more responsive thanks to the power of the Snapdragon 835 processor. So just like the original Z Force, this thing's running top-of-the-line silicon. It's got the same 4 gigabytes of RAM as last year, although now it does have 64 gigabyte storage standard, which is really, really nice. The design, I really like this metal look on the back here, although it doesn't really feel that brushed. I wondered if this is covered with something or if it might be a fake effect here. I'll have to look into that a little more closely. The phone itself, super lightweight and nice and thin, but that comes at a price. So, you know, as we said, a lot smaller battery. Last year, the Z Force was a big hulking phone with a 3,500 milliamp hour battery. Now it's just north of 2,700 milliamp hours. We talked to Motorola about why they decided to go in this direction, and the consensus seems to be that if the phone can get through a full day of usage and everything beyond that is just kind of being wasted. And they felt that at this 2,700 milliamp hour range, the phone can get through a solid day's usage because people always recharge the phones overnight. So if you're not using the last 40% of your charge or whatever it is, that's that's weight of the phone that could be gotten rid of. And because the Moto Mods support battery add-ons, you can just pop on a battery pack to your phone to extend it if you need to, while the phone itself stays nice and thin. So this is really interesting. I'm really curious about these dual cameras on here, but I don't want to waste too much time getting to the software just yet. You can see all that in the full review. Let's take a look at what else is in the box here. I know at least one thing to expect because I don't see a headphone jack on this guy. So let's see, we have our standard paperwork. This is the T-Mobile edition. The really nice thing about the Moto Z phones this year, the Moto Z Force is going to be available at all the major carriers. This is not a Droid branded phone, this is not a Verizon exclusive. You can get it unlocked from Motorola, you can get it from T-Mobile, like this guy, you can get it from Verizon, you can get it from whomever you like. And you know, we love consumers having choice, and this phone is all about that. I'm trying to keep my paperwork looking nice here. Man, that is a thick little terms and conditions book, T-Mobile. I guess the lawyers made you do that, okay. And here, yep. So we have, once again, the USB to analog headphone adapter. I love that it comes with an adapter. HTC learned that lesson much too slowly, in my opinion. Motorola's been doing it since they got rid of the headphone jack. I would really prefer to have the headphone jack on the phone itself, but you know, it comes with the adapter. I can't complain that much. Our USB-C charging cable, and the turbo power adapter, capable of giving the phone a nice boost of charge in just a short amount of time. So this is the phone itself. Like I said, I'm going to spend a lot of time covering this for the review proper. Let's take a look at the 360 camera here, because this thing is pretty interesting. I've played around with the Gear 360 cameras. I haven't used LG's, but okay, that is just weird. You know, I'm not used to having this attached to the phone, being familiar with Samsung's, and this is really, really interesting. Okay, so we sort of peel this. Let's see, it's letting us know about the lens cover up here. It's just gonna pull off, or I don't want to damage the lens, oh no. That's a tight fit. Okay, yeah, there we go. So this has dual, oh, I'm gonna get this wrong. I'm gonna say 12 or 13 megapixel cameras. That's north of the new Gear 360, which has 8.4 megapixel, but down from the first Gear 360, which was 15. This supports live streaming, just like the new Gear 360, and you might not be able to see it in the video here, but there's lots of little holes. There's 3 holes here, there's 1 hole here, so you're gonna get 4 microphones to capture 360-degree sound. Let's put this down here. Okay, this isn't really protecting anything, it's just to make sure you know about that lens cap and do not forget. Let's pop it on. So that doesn't make the phone too thick with it on there. And you know, like any Moto Mod, it's gonna let us know about it instantly. Yeah, nothing's cool. I know. Very cool. We're gonna try the actual functionality out of this for a full review. I guess I wanted to see how this looked on the phone. You know, I'm not sold on the idea of it being permanently attached like this. It seems like it's not as versatile as a standalone thing, and just for comparison, I do have the gigantic first-gen Gear 360, which this thing, it's positively dwarfing the Moto 360. And the newer one, which I can sort of see how these cameras look very, very similar. If you packed a big bulky, you know, golf ball sphere around there, those are kind of in the same ballpark. So I'm really curious to see what the performance is on this, how the video quality is going to come out though. For now, this has been an unboxing of the Moto Z2 Force and the Moto 360 camera. I'm Steven Shank with PhoneArena. Be sure you come back for my full review real soon. Thanks for watching.